If you're over 60 and walking has started to feel more like a chore than a solution, I want you to listen closely. Many men reach this stage and are told the same advice over and over again: just walk more. Walk for your heart, walk for your joints, walk for your weight, walk for your mood. And while walking can be helpful, it's not always the best answer for an aging body. In fact, for many men over 60, there is one simple chair-based movement that can be more effective, safer, and easier to stick with than daily walking. Now that might sound surprising, but stay with me, because there's a reason surgeons and rehabilitation specialists often recommend this movement before anything else. After 50, the body begins to change in ways that aren't always obvious at first. Muscle mass slowly declines, even if your weight stays the same. Joints lose some of their natural cushioning. Balance reactions become slightly slower. Circulation isn't as efficient, especially in the lower body. And recovery takes longer. What used to bounce back in a day might now take several. By the time men reach their 60s, these small changes can add up. Walking, especially long or fast walking, can start to irritate knees, hips, lower backs, and feet. Some men push through discomfort because they think pain is just part of aging. Others stop moving altogether because walking no longer feels good. Neither option leads to better health. This is where smarter movement matters more than harder movement. Surgeons and physical specialists often focus on one question: how do we keep the legs strong, the joints supported, and circulation moving without overloading the body? The answer, surprisingly often, starts with a chair. The exercise I'll be talking about today is not complicated. It doesn't require equipment. It doesn't require special clothing. And it doesn't require leaving your home. Yet it activates the largest muscle groups in the body, supports knee and hip health, improves circulation, and trains balance in a controlled way. What makes this movement so effective is that it mimics one of the most important actions you perform every day: sitting down and standing up. When done correctly and consistently, this simple motion strengthens the legs in a way that walking alone cannot. Walking mainly moves the body forward. This chair-based movement trains control, stability, and strength through a full range of motion. For men over 60, that difference matters. Another reason this exercise is often recommended is safety. Falls are one of the biggest health risks for older adults. The ability to rise from a seated position with control is closely linked to independence and long-term mobility. Practicing this movement daily helps preserve that ability. Timing plays an important role as well. Many men try to exercise when they're already tired or stiff, which makes movement feel harder than it needs to be. This chair exercise works best when the body is gently warmed up, such as mid-morning or early afternoon. It can also be done in short sessions, which is easier on the joints and more sustainable long-term. Lifestyle habits support this approach too. In cultures where people stay mobile longer, daily movement is spread throughout the day instead of packed into one long session. Short, frequent movements signal the body to stay active without overwhelming it. Another important point is consistency. After 60, the body responds better to regular, moderate stimulation than to occasional intense effort. This is why a simple chair exercise done daily can outperform walking done inconsistently or with discomfort. If you've ever felt frustrated that you're doing the right thing by walking but not seeing or feeling the benefits you expected, you're not alone. It's not a failure on your part. It's a mismatch between the activity and what your body actually needs at this stage of life. In the next part, I'll walk you through exactly how this chair exercise is done, what to focus on to get the most benefit, and how to adjust it safely for your current strength level. Let me explain how this chair exercise is done and why the details matter more than most people realize. At first glance, it may look like nothing more than sitting down and standing up. But when done with intention, this movement becomes one of the most effective ways to strengthen the legs and support the joints after 60. Start with a sturdy chair placed on a flat surface. The chair should not roll or slide. Stand in front of it with your feet about hip-width apart. Your toes should point forward, and your weight should be evenly distributed across both feet. Before you move, take a slow breath and allow your shoulders to relax. This sets the tone for controlled movement. Begin to lower yourself toward the chair as if you are going to sit, but do it slowly. Imagine you are lowering yourself into position rather than dropping down. Keep your chest upright and your eyes forward. Your knees should move naturally, not forced inward or outward. If needed, you can lightly touch the chair with your hands for balance, but try not to rely on them. Just before you fully sit, pause briefly. This pause is important. It teaches the muscles to support the joints and improves control. Then gently push through your feet and stand back up. As you rise, breathe out slowly. The movement should feel smooth and steady, not rushed. This single motion activates the thighs, hips, and muscles around the knees. These muscles act as stabilizers. When they are strong, the joints experience less stress during daily activities like walking, climbing stairs, or getting out of bed. For men over 60, this exercise is often better tolerated than walking because it allows you to control the range of motion. If your knees feel sensitive, you can limit how low you go. If balance feels uncertain, you can position the chair near a wall or counter for added security. Repetition matters, but not in the way people often think. You don't need dozens of repetitions. Even 5 to 10 controlled movements can be effective when done daily. Quality is more important than quantity. Each repetition should feel purposeful. Timing plays a role here too. Doing this exercise earlier in the day, when energy levels are higher, tends to produce better results. Some men also benefit from doing a few repetitions in the evening to reduce stiffness after sitting for long periods. Lifestyle habits support this movement naturally. Pay attention to how often you sit during the day. Long periods of sitting weaken the very muscles this exercise strengthens. Breaking up sitting time with a few chair rises helps maintain muscle engagement and circulation. There's also a mental shift that happens with this exercise. Many men avoid movements that feel challenging because they associate them with decline. This exercise reframes that idea. Each controlled rise is a reminder that strength is still present and can be maintained. In the next part, I'll explain why this chair exercise can improve circulation and endurance more effectively than walking alone, and how it supports long-term mobility without stressing the joints. One of the reasons this chair exercise can be more effective than walking has to do with circulation and muscle engagement. Walking is rhythmic and repetitive, but it doesn't always challenge the muscles enough to stimulate meaningful change, especially if the pace is slow or the stride becomes shorter with age. The chair movement, on the other hand, asks the largest muscles in the body to work against gravity in a controlled way. Each time you lower and rise, the muscles in the thighs and hips contract and relax fully. This action helps move blood through the lower body more efficiently. Better circulation means more oxygen and nutrients reaching the tissues, which supports endurance and recovery. Over time, this can reduce the heavy, tired feeling many men notice in their legs by the end of the day. For men over 60, circulation becomes increasingly important. Reduced blood flow in the lower body can lead to stiffness, swelling, and slower recovery after activity. This is one reason some men feel more discomfort after long walks than they expect. The chair exercise helps counter this by engaging the muscles that act like natural pumps. Another advantage is how this movement supports joint health. Walking places repeated impact through the feet, ankles, knees, and hips. While that impact is usually mild, it adds up over time, especially if joints are already sensitive. The chair exercise minimizes impact while still strengthening the muscles that protect the joints. There's also an endurance benefit that often surprises people. Because this movement uses large muscle groups, it gently challenges the heart and lungs without requiring sustained effort. Short sets performed consistently can improve stamina in a way that feels manageable rather than exhausting. Timing matters again here. Doing this exercise earlier in the day helps wake up circulation and prepares the body for movement. Doing a few repetitions before longer periods of sitting, such as before watching television or reading, can prevent stiffness and maintain comfort. Lifestyle choices amplify these effects. Staying hydrated supports circulation. Eating regular, balanced meals helps provide the energy needed for muscle activity. Avoiding long, uninterrupted sitting periods keeps blood flow moving. Another important point is recovery. Walking long distances can leave some men feeling drained, which leads to skipped days. This chair exercise, when done correctly, supports recovery instead of competing with it. That's why many surgeons recommend it after procedures or during rehabilitation. It strengthens without overwhelming the system. If you've ever noticed that your legs feel stronger after a few controlled movements, but weaker after prolonged walking, this explains why. Strength and circulation are built through intentional engagement, not just time spent moving. In the next part, I'll talk about how often to do this exercise, how to fit it naturally into your day, and how small adjustments in timing and routine can make a big difference over the long term. Now let's talk about how often to do this chair exercise and how to make it part of your daily routine without it feeling like another obligation. One of the biggest reasons exercise plans fail after 60 is that they're too rigid. Life doesn't always follow a schedule, and the body doesn't respond well to pressure. This movement works best when it's flexible and consistent. Most men do well starting with one short session a day. That might be 5 slow, controlled repetitions in the morning or late morning. As the body adapts, some men naturally add a second short session later in the day. There's no rule that says you must do a certain number. The body responds to regular signals, not strict quotas. Timing matters because the body has natural rhythms. Muscles tend to be more responsive when body temperature is slightly elevated. This is why mid-morning or early afternoon often feels easier than first thing in the morning or late at night. That said, if mornings are your quiet time and feel best to you, that's perfectly fine. The key is choosing a time you can return to most days. Lifestyle habits play a larger role than many people realize. If you spend long periods sitting, your body becomes reluctant to move. Try pairing this chair exercise with something you already do. For example, do a few repetitions before meals, after brushing your teeth, or before sitting down to watch television. When movement is linked to a habit, it becomes automatic. Another useful approach is to listen to your body rather than pushing through discomfort. Mild effort is normal, sharp discomfort is not. If a day feels heavier than usual, reduce the depth of the movement or use your hands lightly for support. This isn't a setback, it's intelligent adjustment. Rest is also part of progress. Doing this exercise every day doesn't mean pushing every day. Some days the movement will feel stronger, other days more gentle. Both are valuable. What matters is staying engaged with the process. There's also a psychological benefit to this routine. Many men over 60 feel disconnected from structured exercise because it reminds them of what they can't do anymore. This chair exercise reframes movement as something supportive rather than demanding. It builds trust between you and your body. Over time, this trust leads to better movement choices throughout the day. Standing becomes easier. Walking feels more confident. Getting up from low surfaces no longer feels like a challenge. These changes happen gradually, but they're noticeable when you pay attention. In the final part, I'll explain how this simple chair exercise fits into a broader healthy lifestyle, including sleep, daily activity, and long-term mobility, and how small daily choices can protect independence for years to come. At this stage of life, health is less about chasing peak performance and more about protecting what allows you to live independently and comfortably. That's why this one chair exercise can be so powerful. It supports strength, balance, circulation, and confidence without asking more from your body than it can give. When this movement is paired with simple lifestyle habits, the benefits multiply. Quality sleep supports muscle recovery and joint comfort. Even small improvements in sleep can make movement feel easier the next day. Staying hydrated helps circulation and reduces stiffness, especially in the legs. Eating regular, balanced meals provides the energy muscles need to work efficiently even during gentle exercise. Daily movement doesn't have to be complicated. Short walks, light stretching, and regular changes in posture throughout the day all complement this chair exercise. The goal isn't to replace walking entirely, but to rely on movement that feels supportive rather than draining. Many men find that once their legs feel stronger, walking naturally becomes more comfortable again. Timing remains important over the long term. Doing this chair exercise at roughly the same times each day helps the body anticipate movement and respond more efficiently. This rhythm reduces resistance and increases consistency. Over weeks and months, that consistency leads to real, lasting change. There's also a long-term benefit that often goes unnoticed until it's needed. The ability to stand up smoothly from a chair is closely tied to independence. Maintaining this ability means fewer limitations, less reliance on others, and greater confidence in daily life. Surgeons and rehabilitation specialists focus on this movement because it predicts future mobility better than many other tests. If you're over 60 and walking no longer feels like the solution it once did, this doesn't mean you're failing. It means your body is asking for a different approach, a smarter one that respects where you are now while still supporting progress. Start with what feels manageable. Be patient with yourself. Pay attention to how your body responds. Over time, you may notice that everyday tasks feel easier, balance feels steadier, and movement feels less like effort and more like support. This is how long-term health is built after 60, not through extremes, but through simple, consistent actions that work with your body, not against it.